afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Coalition League's quarterfinals of the Noxus division here. I'm Random Minion Caster, and today we've got DoVN Nightfall facing off against Glacial Inferno. Both teams that have struggled a little bit in the regular season but have really picked up their game towards the end of the season here, and they'll be clashing in the quarterfinals, looking to secure their way into the semis here. On the blue side, it's going to be DoVN Nightfall, a team that has primarily kept its roster fairly similar throughout most of the season here. They have made some changes coming into the playoffs, and they are a storied team here. They've been around since the spring split. Were third in the regular season of the spring split, ended up dropping out in the quarterfinals of the playoffs here. And now, in the summer split, they've struggled in the regular season, but the last 2 weeks have seen them really sort of group up and come back into it. And now they are once again in the quarterfinals. This time trying to make sure that they don't get knocked out here. In the top lane for them, it's going to be Lord of Aces. In the jungle, it's going to be Gun 79, but that's where all the normal things end. Because in the mid lane, we've got a familiar face here. It's the Fire of the Fox 1 coming in for them into the mid lane here. And the mid lane has been a role that DoVN Nightfall has sort of struggled with a little bit. Last week did see Mohawk Gaming coming in and seem to secure the position for them, but at the same time it looks like they've now decided to switch someone in. And in the ADC position, it's not Poison Lynch, who's played for DoVN Nightfall every single game up to this point in the ADC position. Instead, it's going to be Mohawk Gaming. And Mohawk Gaming, very, very flexible player. We've seen him play ADC, we've seen him play support, pardon me. We've seen him play mid, and now he's going to be the ADC here for DoVN Nightfall. We'll have to see how he performs in this support position. It's going to be Old Faithful. It's Web Hippo there in that role. On the red side, it's going to be Glacial Inferno. In the top lane, it's going to be Mojo Skeletor coming in for them last week as an E-sub. Looks like he's now going to be a regular starter for them. In the jungle, it's going to be Kamehameha Wave. In the mid lane, Windstorm 0610. ADC, their main carry, Corpit here, and in the support position, it's Nimue, who was originally one of their starters, was taken off the roster for a bit, and is coming in tonight as an E-sub for Glacial Inferno. And Glacial Inferno, a newer team compared to DoVN Nightfall, and one that's had a bit of a revolving door when it comes to their players, when it comes to their rosters. Every week sees different people coming in. In fact, even between games, we often do see them change up their roster. So they've not really seemed to settle down on what they want to do, and unfortunately, they did just lose their jungler, Jesus9, who is not eligible because of the rank from the last split. And that's going to hurt them quite a bit because Corpit is their main carry, but they do rely a lot on Jesus to stabilize their early game. Let Corpit get scaling on picks such as the Ezreal, the Aphelios here. So we'll have to see how this one works out. And we are going to hop straight into picks and bans here. On the blue side, DoVN Nightfall banning out Jax, Ezreal, Yasuo, Kiana, and Echo. A lot of attention being given to Windstorm because Windstorm, a very stable player, can carry the team to victory. Not to mention that Ezreal there, who's been an absolute nightmare really. If Corpit gets his hands on that, it's ridiculously difficult to take him down. For Glacial Inferno, they're banning out the Trundle, Anivia, Teemo, and Karthus. So interesting picks, especially against Fire of the Fox. Fire of the Fox did, I believe, get a pentakill back in the spring split on that Anivia, so a huge threat here that they want to remove. And Karthus did receive buffs this week, buffing up mid lane Karthus specifically, so they want to make sure that Fire of the Fox doesn't get that sort of mid lane control mage, which just scales right into the end of the game there. And that means DoVN Nightfall will get themselves Volibear, Mordekaiser, Thresh, Ashe, and Nico here. So that Mordekaiser for Lord of Aces. We've seen a lot of people carry in the top lane with Mordekaiser, with Darius. Lord of Aces has done traditionally very well with the Mordekaiser. We'll have to see how that one goes, especially against the likes of Mojo Skeletor. And we look across to Glacial Inferno. It is going to be that Ornn for Mojo Skeletor. It's what he played last week, very, very stable, solid on it. He doesn't dominate or win the lane with it, but it's very useful in the end game. We see the Amumu coming in as well as the Yuumi, Aphelios, and Syndra here for Glacial Inferno. So they've got themselves a really strong team fighting comp. It's going to scale up nicely here. The only concern is going to be whether or not they can reach that scale point. Aphelios and Yuumi, one of the weaker initial bot lanes here, and the Amumu as well, one of the weaker early junglers, and we have seen teams just get run over in the early game, and it will really be down to Windstorm and Mojo Skeletor. Can they stabilize the early game for their team? Can they let their team get to that scaling point here? And the teams are loading into the rift. We are going to join them here. And one thing to remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is the quarterfinals. Normally it would be a best of 5, but by mutual agreement, DoVN Nightfall and Glacial Inferno have agreed to run a best of 3 instead. So it will only be maximum of 3 games for this series here. And it's actually a very, very interesting matchup between these two teams because they're very, very similar stories in the regular season, really struggling to sort of find their place in their playstyle. DoVN Nightfall was known as a team which excels in the mid game, especially with coordination throughout the team. Back in the spring split, they had a very regular 5-man roster. Here in the summer split, it was the same 5 people, but they kept switching Mohawk Gaming and Web Hippo between mid and support. And even coming to the playoffs here, we are seeing a change in their roster. So I don't know if we'll see the same style from DoVN Nightfall that we have come to expect from them, that sort of coordination in the mid-game. If you look over to Glacial Inferno, they're another case of not quite being able to find their identity. They keep changing their players week after week, and it's only been in the last couple of weeks that they've sort of figured something out, with Corporate being their main carry from that bot lane, dominating his lane, dominating team fights. But they've relied very heavily on their jungle, Jesus9, who's no longer a bit available to play for them because of the rank rulings here, and he's been the one to sort of stabilize their early games, allow for it to scale, and without him here, it's a question of whether Kamehameha Wave can take over that role and sort of make sure that they do manage to scale up, get to the point where they come online and Corporate can start trying to carry the entire team in team fights here. If we do look now at the individual matchups, I guess at the top right here, Mojo Skeletor and Lord of Aces. Lord of Aces is known to be a more lane dominant player, so I am expecting him to be the one to sort of take over this top lane here, bully out Mojo Skeletor a bit, and look for sort of wins. And if he can't do that, then I think they might struggle a little bit because the composition here from Glacial Inferno has a much easier mode of execution here. You've got the Ornhorn, you've got the Amumu engage. That's going to start your fight off. It's huge. It's really easy to coordinate with the rest of your team here. In the mid lane, Fire from the Fox and Windstorm. Fire from the Fox was one of the better mids back in the spring split. So it will be very interesting because Windstorm is one of the sort of almost win conditions here for Glacial Inferno. He usually does win his lane, or if not, he has a huge impact in fights. But Fire of the Fox with that Nico is going to be huge in team fights, though the range might be a little bit of an issue compared to Syndra, who's able to get that scatter the weak from extremely long range, finding stuns and targets. And in this bot lane here, Flash coming in from Web Hippo, he's aggressively going in, he's got the play, he's still holding off the death sentence, he finds it, he gets it, that's Nimue getting bursted down, and first blood for Mohawk Gaming. Top lane, Gun pulling the trigger there as well. They've got the flash out of Mojo Skeletor already. They trade flash for a flash in that top lane there. And that's going to give Lord of Aces a nice bit of pressure and control in that top side. Mid lane, Fire of the Fox aggressively going on, but he has to be careful. Kamehameha Wave coming in from behind. A good sidestep to dodge the bandage toss, and Fire of the Fox looking like he's winning that mid lane right now in terms of pressure. One thing to notice, Nimue on that Yuumi is running heal, ignite. We usually do see some sort of combination of heal, ignite, and exhaust here. The ignite tells me that they're looking for kills in that bot lane. Got looking to gank once more into that top lane. They will not be able to get the stun off. Gonna just get a bit of damage on to scale Mojo Skeletor. A good dodge on the pullback from Mordekaiser, and Mojo Skeletor gonna be safe for now. Might have to look to go back to base though. He is gonna build some items, but that's just gonna give him just a little bit of resistances. Will not help him regenerate at all. The biscuits though will be nice for that sustain in lane. And we did see the teleport come out of Windstorm in that mid lane as well. Will not have it available. Fire Fox matching it immediately, so both of them buying their items. And it's gonna be the boots out for Windstorm. He's looking to just dodge out a lot of those skill shots from Fire of the Fox here. And in exchange, Fire of the Fox is going for more damage. So he's still confident that he can dodge those scatter the weaks, that he can sort of make sure that he can apply all those skill shots from the Syndra. Let's see if that really is the case in that mid lane there, whether the damage will trump utility. And in the bot lane, Web Hippo really strong on his Thresh, one of his most played champions in this split here. He was known for his Swain support, but this split hasn't really pulled it out very much. Instead, he's been relying a lot on the Murders. It's giving him a ton of utility, but in that top lane, Lord of Aces and Mojo Skeletor are going at it. There's a huge minion wave here for Lord of Aces, and he's going to be able to pick this up. A quick bonk with the mace. We'll see Mojo going down. And that's a little surprising when it was Mojo who looked for the engage in the bot side jungle, though. It's going to be Gun getting caught up by Kamehameha Wave. Windstorm there to pull off, and they find themselves a kill. Now, Far the Fox going 1v2. Can he find a kill? Looks like he might be able to actually force the flash out of Kamehameha Wave. Now he's going for Windstorm. That's both flashes blown here, and Web Hippo roaming up from that bot side with Mohawk Gaming. They're looking for it. The Hawkshock is going to spot out Kamehameha Wave, and the autos here do find Mohawk. Yet another kill. Kamehameha Wave facing in a very, very dangerous position after he got caught by that Hawkshock as well. And well played from DoVN Nightfall. Despite changing up quite a few players on their roster here, it doesn't seem to have stopped them at all. Now Far the Fox going in for the kill. Can he find it? Yes, he can. Scatterlead coming across, and that last tower shot able to find it. So that's going to be a 1-for-1 in that mid lane as the mid laners trade kills over to each other. And that's going to be all their summoners down for the next little while here. Nico known to be a bit of a tricky champion here, a bit of a trickster, but not the safest. Doesn't really have a proper sort of gap close movement spell to get away from ganks. Syndra likewise as well, so mid lane will be very vulnerable to jungle pressure for the next 5 minutes here. And we do see DoVN Nightfall picking up their first drink of the game. It's going to be that all-important Ocean Drake here, so their lane's going to be more than happy to get more health, more regeneration, more sustain. In that bot lane here, we do see Graviton rooting up Mohawk here, and they're looking to apply the damage. Can they find it? Nimue not sitting on corporate right now, finally going on, gets some healing here. And despite that early first blood that we saw Nimue giving over, corporate and Nimue are actually doing very, very well for themselves right now. They're not really falling behind, and as an Aphelios, not losing lane phase is really all you need to do. You skill up extremely, extremely well. Despite the nerfs, Aphelios is still one of the top 3 ADCs in pro play currently, so definitely very, very good. And I think we've seen corporate play the Aphelios once before, and it was a huge issue for the enemy team trying to deal with the damage he can output. One thing I like is he's running the cleanse here, doesn't feel the need to take the heal because he's got Yuumi, because Nimue is carrying it. He can take the cleanse instead, and we've seen how important cleanse is. Just, I mean, it was Saturday watching the Silver Division, we saw that not carrying the cleanse can get ADCs killed in against teams with a ton of CC, and right now every single player on the side of DoVN Nightfall has CC, so a very good pickup on that cleanse there for Corpid. A bit of level lead, a little bit of advantage for DoVN Nightfall right now in that mid lane. And I am watching for when the jungler, specifically Kamehameha, hits 6 on this Amumu here. Amumu has an extremely weak early game, can be invaded on, can be fought in skirmishes. You can find solo kills on him, but once he hits 6, things change with that Christmas set. It is one of those huge playmaking ultimates in the bigger fights, or even in smaller skirmishes as well. And once he picks that up, I am looking for Kamehameha to look for a gank somewhere to try and make a play here. That will also be that sort of weak early game for Glacial to that over. And once it hits the mid game, they really will start to pick up the pace with their team fight ability. Once Corpid gets 1 or 2 items under his belt, he can also pump out a lot of damage with the chakras as well. Not to mention Windstorm on that Syndra, one of the highest burst mids, can easily take out one person before the fight even starts here. And again, this is DoVN Nightfall. They're up against, even when they were losing, DoVN Nightfall were the ones to look for proactive moves in the mid game. They did often seem a little lost come the late game and struggle to get out of the laning phase, but right now they are the ones in the lead in the laning phase right now. They're up 2,000 gold, and Enchanted Crystal Arrow comes across from Mohawk Gaming, and this is exactly the sort of proactive play you can expect from them in front of the Fox, getting the burst 100 to 0 with the assistance of the Enchanted Crystal Arrow. That was a beautiful initiate from Mohawk Gaming here. And one of the criticisms I've had of Ashe within the Coalition League throughout the split has been the lack of use of that Enchanted Crystal Arrow to start things off. I don't care if it's long or short range, you gotta shoot your shot. And Mohawk Gaming finding a beautiful engage into the mid lane. That amazing synergy and bot lane. We do see a gank coming in from Kamehameha Wave. It's gonna be Web Hippo going down here. He's sacrificing himself. Mohawk flashing away immediately at the start of that fight to keep himself alive. And Kamehameha Wave making very good use of that first ultimate here, getting a lead for that bot lane, which is exactly their win condition. And Gunth responding well as well. Heading right away to that Herald. Gonna get the Herald for his team and for himself. And it's gonna be a question of where they're gonna drop it. They're gonna drop it immediately into this top lane here. Interesting choice, and they're gonna look for the engage, the stun coming in. Is the Stormbringer coming out? It is, but there's no one to follow up. Lord of Aces was not quite there yet, and that's gonna be a flash and ultimate down for Gunth. They do get 2 plates off this top turret onto Lord of Aces, so that it will be at least a bit of gold going their way. But now Lord of Aces has to be careful. Kamehameha Wave looking to come in. Call the Fort God being used here. They catch Lord of Aces, Windstorms here. This is gonna be a guaranteed kill. The only question is Kamehameha Wave gonna go down with him? And Kamehameha Wave does go down in the death realm, but now he's out. Mojo Skeletor going after him. Windstorm does not have the scatter, the unleash power, pardon me, available anymore because he used it and did pick up Gunth instead. The scatter of the week landing across the fire coming out from those billows, and it's gonna be Mojo Skeletor picking up the kill, and that was a great yank. 2 for 1 in that top lane, and Windstorm instantly teleporting back to his turret. Doesn't want to miss out on too much CS. He is already down almost 30 CS here. Despite that great gank in the top lane, that's going to end up giving up this dragon to the side of DoV Nightfall. So DoV Nightfall happy to trade that. They still have the kill lead, still have the gold lead, and now they will continue their stranglehold over the neutral objectives here. Right now, DoV Nightfall, this is what you expect from in the mid game. No turrets have gone down just yet, so we're not quite hitting that point where the map is starting to open up for DoV Nightfall, but you can already see this is what they're known for. They're sort of team fighting the dives and good use of the map here. They might have lost the fight in the top, but they come out the victor because the neutral objective is worth a death any time in the game here. Fox in this mid lane has been an absolute monster right now. He's 2-1-1 and he's got this mid lane turret almost down without the use of the Herald at all, and he is up about almost 40 CS now, highest in the game at 12.5 minutes here. Now we do see Gunth looking down into that bot side. There is a ward in the bush. It will now get spotted out. They are going to try and clear it, and they actually don't, unfortunately. And it's going to have to be Webbable popping his sweeper as well now to clear that one out. It will be cleared, but they can't look for a gank for now. Corpit and Nimmo just playing passive, hiding under the turret, and they can afford to. Corpit somehow finding himself a CS lead here, despite Mohawk getting some ganks, getting a lot of pressure, and getting a bunch of kills for himself. And if we do take a quick look at the gold here, you'll see that it's fairly even everywhere except for that mid lane. Just tiny advantages for DoV Nightfall in that top lane. Mojo Skeletor getting dragged into the death drop. Lord of Aces just walking in there. One mace hit, and now he's suddenly 3-1-0. Mojo Skeletor not able to handle him despite having a CS lead for himself. Fox trying to intercept Windstorm. Will not quite find him, just get a little bit of poke. You have to be careful though. Kamehameha Wave is in the area. And Mojo Skeletor coming up in about 10 seconds. The chance of Crystal Arrow goes across the map. Does not quite find Windstorm this time. And they do stop the mid lane turret. And Gunth is getting bursted down. He's not tanky at all right now. He is building the Cinderhawk, so it looks like we will be seeing a tank fall there coming out of the jungle, but still just not enough damage. Ignite come down onto Corpit. The cleanse comes out. It won't be enough. The damage, the burst is too high. And that's Corpit going down to Mohawk in that bot lane there. I believe it was actually Web Hippo picking up the kill credit on that one. And in the mid lane, we unfortunately did see part of the Fox miss his Pop Blossom, the Nico ultimate there, so they couldn't quite find anybody. Windstorm, however, did go down. Unfortunately, didn't see how that happened because of that fight in the bot lane. And now Kamehameha Wave has to be careful. He's out of mana here, and Power of the Fox has the red and the blue buff. He will be regenerating, has the Ocean Drake as well, so definitely very, very risky here. Top lane, Mojo Skeletor teleporting back to top lane immediately. He kind of had to. His top turret almost going down there. It's just barely surviving on a hope and a prayer at this point in time. But he's looking for a kill on to Lord of Aces. Can he find it? The shield on Lord of Aces is nutty right now, and he's able to block out a ton of damage. And that's going to force Mojo Skeletor back. His teleport already used. His flash not available either. So that means that top turret might go down, and this might be first turret going the way of DoV Nightfall. Instead, it's the bottom turret. They're having a race here. They do end up trading Mohawk over though, as Corpit able to find himself a kill in that bot lane, and that one's gonna have a bounty attached Corporate more than happy to pick up the kill there. And the top lane turret going down as well. The mid lane as well. DoVN Nightfall coordinating the outer turret drops across the map, and all of them going down within about 10 seconds of each other here. And that's going to leave Glacial Inferno on the back foot as there's a sudden influx of gold for DoVN Nightfall, and they are suddenly up almost 5,000 gold here. And now this is going to be that extremely dangerous period for Glacial Inferno. Can they hold on? Can they be the ones to sort of stifle the DoVN Nightfall offensive here? Because now DoVN Nightfall are up gold across the map, and it's going to be spent mostly in that mid lane. You're seeing the Proto Belt and the Luden's Epical completed for Power Fox. He's an entire completed item up onto Windstorm right now. Everybody else is fairly even in terms of items, just small advantages such as the Blasting Wand in that top lane or the Vamp Scepter in the ADC role here. They still have to be careful now. Windstorm getting caught out, getting collapsed on from all over the place. He's not even going to get a chance to unleash his power. The Scatter Week comes across, but Lord of Ace is able to just take him out with the bonk. And I think it's actually Fire of the Fox who picked up the kill credit on that one. He's now 4-1-1. Mojo Sculptor has to be careful. Yes, he's tanky, but he's built magic resistance. And we do see Mohawk Gaming in the area, Kamehameha Wave having to engage aggressively to try and save them. But the beautiful fall of the Forge God is good. It does manage to buy time, stall time, but it will not be enough. They don't find Web Hippo, and that's a 3-4-0 there in that fight. And you've kind of got to be wondering what Mojo Skeletor was thinking going there. They were already down a person. Windstorm was dead. And he goes into a choke point line. There's no vision here whatsoever. You can see there's basically no wards at all for Glacial Inferno other than that bot side. And we do see another Enchanted Crystal Arrow missing there, whipping in the mid lane. Was pretty close though. Good sidestep from Corpit to make sure he doesn't get tagged by that one there. And the lack of vision right now is not something you can afford against a team like DoVN Nightfall when they're up 7,000 gold after they pick up this Herald here, who are so strong in the mid game and are up ahead here as well. And that's going to be now 5 neutral objectives, all of them going the way of DoVN Nightfall. They pick up the Mountain Drake as well, and that will be real nice for them if they can stack a couple more of those Mountain Drakes. They need a bit of resistance to be able to survive the burst from Windstorm here. And Windstorm, once again, doing his job really well, is sort of the kill leader for his team, is down a ton of CS though against Fire of the Fox. And that is a problem because now that he's down so far, they need to somehow stall, and Corpit, only having the Infinity Edge built, is still quite a ways away from completing that Runan's Hurricane here. Windstorm turning the corner right into Fire of the Fox, is going to get burst out 100-0 once again. And he's now 4-5-1. Compare that to Fire of the Fox 6-1-3. Top lane, Lord of Aces getting ganked by Kamehameha Wave, but that is a Mordekaiser, and unless both of them can handle him, you can't gank him that easily. Horn being sounded will not find anyone, and it's going to be now Corpit showing up as well. That's a 3v1, a beautiful flash from Lord of Aces is going to be able to get him out. That and the Blast Cone. He's back to safety. He continues to dominate 3-1-1 here. Glacial Inferno just not able to find anything there. All that attention to that top lane is going to leave their bot lane inner vulnerable. Shelly going to take that one down there. And that's the first inner turret going down. Shelly going to look for another charge. Descendants comes across. Not going to find anybody here. But the charge from Shelly going to take that turret down to about 20%, less than 20%. Now we might see a fight coming out. Mohawk Gaming getting slowed. Where's his support? Where's the defense? He's trying to run away, and the rest of the team have arrived. A beautiful 5-man ultimate here from Fire of the Fox, but he gets knocked back. He gets the stun and the damage, and they're starting to fire back. Kamehameha Wave going down, gun as well. The junglers traded, and now it's suddenly Corpit popping off. He gets 2. Can he keep going? It's right now a 2-for-3 trade in favor of Glacial Inferno. That was because it was a 5v4. Lord of Aces pushing that mid lane, gets themselves the inner turret at the expense of that fight, but that's very, very scary. Corpit just with that one Infinity Edge here, pumping out damage. He's sitting on just under 2,000 gold, so still no Runans for him yet, but it is coming. Once he unlocks that, if you saw how much damage he put on that fight, multiply that by another 2.5 there, and that's what he's going to look like with that Runan's Hurricane here. DoVN DoVN Nightfall a little dicey on these fights. They don't quite have the same sort of AoE strength that Glacial Inferno has here. They have to be careful initiating these fights. Even with that 5-man Pop Blossom from Fire of the Fox, it still wasn't quite enough there. That being said, they are still up about that 7,500 gold. So despite a botched fight, they still end up finding leads by taking turrets here. I just want to take a look at the vision once again, because this time we see DoVN Nightfall's ward line has primarily expired here. They've just got a little bit here from the last fight where they had a lot of vision, were trying to siege that bot lane turret. But other than that, they've only got the control wards for themselves. And you look over at the side of Glacial Inferno, they've got a much better ward line now in their own jungle. So that should prevent them from being caught out. And that's going to be massive for them, because they just need to sort of skill up a little bit here, or look for fights on their own terms. That being said, they have left Corporate on his own here. They have to be careful. We do see Fire of the Fox in the area. I do believe they did spot Corporate out, but they aren't going to go for him. And now Corporate trying to stop Fire of the Fox alone. And I do think Fire of the Fox might be able to pop him. Does have the Zonias completed as well now, so could potentially look for dives, but we do see Nimue now on that top side. No heal available, no ignite either, so will not have that huge heal that we sometimes see coming out of those Yumis. Despite the nerfs to Yumi, with the mana cost on that Zumi's there, it's not really seeming to slow Nimue down too much here. It's still working very well for them. They're able to make the heals count, and there's not a lot of poke either from the side of DoVN Nightfall, so it's just fine. And we do see now the Mountain Drake spawning. DoVN Nightfall looking to pick up a Mountain Soul, but they have to be careful here, because Glacial Inferno is looking for them. It's going to be Lord of Aces starting this one up. He grabs Kamehameha Wave. The Curse of the Sand Mummy, not finding anyone really besides Lord of Aces. And Corporate on a rampage. He manages to take down Web Hippo, but it's Mohawk Game who's pumping out the damage in the back end. Nimue going down. Corporate manages to kill almost everybody there, but except for Lord of Aces, and Lord of Aces is able to pick that one up. The teleport coming in from Windstorm, but he teleports right into a Pop Blossom, and that's now a Quadra for Lord of Aces here. And despite Corporate trying his best to do everything he can in these fights, it's just not enough. He doesn't have enough heal. You saw how much damage he put out. He took down everybody in that fight. 3 kills to his name here. And it was just Lord of Aces he could not take down. And unfortunately for him though, Lord of Aces can kill him quite easily here. And we did see that happen, and that's what happens when you're late on the teleport. Fire of the Fox able to teleport in first, and the fight was over by the time Windstorm was there. And once you start that channel, you can't cancel it. So I'm sure Windstorm knew he was walking to his death as the channel was going on, wishing that he could cancel that one there. And they do manage to pick up the Mountain Soul for themselves as well. So DoVN Nightfall now sitting pretty with that extra shield from the Mountain Soul. Honestly, not sure how much help that shield will necessarily be in these fights, considering that people are dying quite quickly from the sustained damage from Corporate, not necessarily the burst damage of Windstorm here. And the question now is, what is DoVN Nightfall going to do? They are up 10,000 gold at 23 minutes. I don't believe we've seen a team lose with a lead that large thus far. So it's really just a question now of how long it's going to take for them to close up. Are they going to force the base here, or are they just going to go for that Baron? The Baron is up and available. They have more than enough damage to take it. The Blade of the Rune King completed for Mohawk Gaming already. They've got the vision line for it. They've cleared everything out around the Baron from Glacial Inferno as well. So Glacial Inferno, I doubt, is going to contest this one blind. The Baron is being shredded here. Already down to about half health. And you can see that Glacial Inferno, no intention whatsoever of trying to stop this one. And that's going to make their big space defense one very, very difficult trial here. A trial by fire or by ice, really, with that Ashe. They're going to have to try and survive this one here. That bot lane turret still is very, very low. Has regenerated a little bit. It's now up to about 20% from the previous 10% here. But where is Gun's not with his team right now? Is opting to go back to base. We'll have to see if the rest of DoVN Nightfall choose to do that, or whether they're just going to siege up this top inner turret. This tier 2 turret already down to about half health. With the Baron buff, they should pick this one up easy here. And Glacial Inferno now trying to rotate up there. They will be able to get there because there's no minions coming in for a while here. And now Gun coming back out of base, is running down the mid lane. We see Webipo walking in, and the flash coming out from far of the Fox. He was looking for the engage and the pop blossom, but that did not work, and now that ultimate is going to be down. It's one of the big team fight ultimates here for DoVN Nightfall. So we see the siege, but that sieged up, burned up siege minion here, putting a ton of damage here. And we do see the Curse of the Sand Mummy being used on the clone of Far of the Fox. That's not going to be available either. That's two major team fight ultimates down. They've gone in. Stormbringer shutting down that turret, and Elder Base is just running in the backline. It's going to be Kamehameha Wave going down. He was too slow to run away. Corpit getting shredded. The QSS not able to save him. That's Mojo dead as well. Windstorm running away with Nimue backing him up. But we do have Far of the Fox chasing here, looking for that 1v2 while the rest of the team is looking for the kill. The Protobelt comes across. That's going to put some damage, but not enough to kill Windstorm with Nimue sitting on him. And that's going to be Windstorm safe with Nimue, but at what cost? The inhibitor is down in that top side. They're going to push this in. They get another Nexus turret here before Windstorm's even back in base. Now it's going to be a 2v5 here, or 2v4. Far of the Fox not here. The Unleashed Power not available yet. Lord of the Aces with the beautiful Zonius to keep himself alive. And he's going to be just fine. The other Nexus turret, that dead. Windstorm getting caught out. He's now caught in the middle for he's dead. Nimue soon to follow with no one to ride. The taxi service is down. That's going to be Kamehameha Wave, but Corporate pumping out the damage. He's got no front line. Mohawk's got the Blade of the Rune King. He's sustaining himself through these fights. Can he survive Mojo Skeletor? Yes, he can. The flash coming out, and that's going to be the Nexus going down. Yet another triple kill for Lord of Aces. He ends at 12-1-4, 26.5 minutes. And that's going to be DoVN Nightfall picking up a win here in game one. What an absolute stomp here to start this series off. Well played from DoVN Nightfall. And this is the DoVN Nightfall we expected to see throughout most of the regular season. This is the sort of DoVN Nightfall who didn't show up last spring split in the quarterfinals. So definitely great to see them show up here. And for Glacial Inferno, you could kind of see them just getting run over. There really wasn't any particular area they seemed to be able to come back from. Corpit doing his best to try and survive in those fights, and you saw how much damage that Corpit managed to pump out in those fights despite having very, very little peel. So I think a lot of the game will still continue to revolve around Corpit for Glacial Inferno. They need to make sure though that their solo lanes don't fall behind. Windstorm was almost Flame Horizon in that game there by Fire of the Fox, and that's on a Syndra, one of the strongest sort of solo champions, generally considered a bit of a lane bully, and he counterpicked that into the Nico here. So definitely something that they'll have to look at, and maybe it's coming from Kamehameha Wave with that Amumu. He had zero pressure before level 6. At level 6, we saw him immediately gank the bot lane. A good call, but the problem is that his solo lanes had already started to fall behind here. In the top, in the mid lane as well. So I am looking to see a bit of a change from Glacial Inferno, specifically in the jungle. Pick something with a bit more early game pressure to help his lanes out, especially with the strength that Fire of the Fox is showing here, and Lord of Aces as well. And in terms of bans, I mean, I don't know if you want to put Fire of the Fox on something scaling like the Karthus, like the Anivia. Yes, it's a huge threat post 30 minutes, post 20 minutes, but on the other hand, you give yourself an opportunity to try and snowball and crush the early game. And you do have your late game insurance in the form of Corpit there, so maybe that's something they'll want to look into. We'll have to see. And with that, we are going to head now off into an intermission break while we set up for game 2 here, where Glacial Inferno are going to fight to keep their playoff dreams alive.